Hi friends, my name is Baji. Welcome to our channel. So far, we have discussed JMeter core concepts like exploring different architecture elements, their scoping rules, and execution order. We also explored ways to extend JMeter's core functionality with the help of different plugins. If you haven't watched those videos yet, I highly recommend watching them first and then continuing this video. In today's video, we will explore the different ways to record scripts using JMeter. So, without any further delay, let's get started. Before diving into our main topic, let's take a moment to understand the concept of a script from the perspective of performance testing. Basically, a script is like a set of instructions or a code that pretends to be users doing some actions in an application or software system. For example, let's take flight ticket booking user action. Generally, if someone would like to book a flight ticket, they will open the airline's website first and then look for the flights. If they find something that meets their requirement, they will select that flight and finally they will purchase the ticket, right? These are the things users do when booking flight tickets. So we will also capture these steps or instructions as a script so that virtual users or threads can follow them during the performance testing. Now that we know what a script is, let's try to understand what exactly is script recording. Script recording is a technique used in performance testing to create test scripts by capturing and translating the interactions of a user with a web application or system into executable performance test scripts. After understanding the concept of a script and script recording, you might be wondering why we need to record scripts for performance testing, isn't it? Script recording allows testers to quickly create performance test scripts by automatically capturing the interactions between users and the application. This is often more efficient than manually writing scripts, especially for complex web applications with lots of dynamic elements. Modern web applications often involve complex interactions, dynamic content, and asynchronous requests. So, script recording tools are designed to handle such complexities, capturing the user interactions without requiring tester to manually code every detail. Okay. Next, let's quickly understand how recording works. During the script recording process, we will perform all the user actions manually using a web browser. For script recording in JMeter, we will configure the local machine as a proxy server at a specific port in the browser settings. The same port number will be configured in the JMeter tool. This makes the performance testing tool like JMeter listens at the port number where the local machine is acting as a proxy server. Basically, a proxy server is an intermediate server that acts as a gateway between a user's computer and the internet. When a user makes a request, it is sent to the proxy server first. Then the proxy server forwards the request to the destination server on behalf of the user, receives the response from the destination server, and finally sends the response back to the user. Okay. When we perform the expected user action manually, all the requests sent from the configured browser to the proxy server, that is local machine. As the JMeter sets to listen at the same port, it can have a log of all the requests sent via a browser. Now let's discuss how to record the script in JMeter. For web applications, we can record the JMeter scripts in three different ways. First one, using the recording utility available in JMeter, that is JMeter HTTPS test script recorder. Next one, using Badboy software. Badboy is a free software tool designed for testing web applications and APIs. It is primarily known as a script recorder and tester that allows users to automate the testing of web applications by creating scripts that simulate user interactions. And finally, using BlazeMeter Chrome Extension. The BlazeMeter Chrome Extension allows you to test your web applications without any prior scripting knowledge. It records user actions and HTTP requests to create a unique test script that runs both JMeter and Selenium tests. Before the recording demos, let's quickly go through the important concept of HTTPS recording and certificates. Understanding these concepts is crucial, especially when recording a JMeter script using the HTTPS test script recorder. Okay. During regular web browsing, when a user interacts with a secure website using HTTPS in the URL, then the communication between the user's browser and the server is encrypted. This is done to protect customer data from security attacks. HTTPS connections use certificates to authenticate the connection between the browser and the web server. Basically, a certificate is a digital document that plays a crucial role in securing the communication between a web browser and a server. These certificates are responsible for establishing a secure and encrypted connection. With the help of a certificate, both client and server will exchange keys which will be used to encrypt and decrypt the data. Okay. So when the browser connects using HTTPS, the server presents its certificate to the browser. Then the browser will perform some checks to make sure that it is connected to the right server. It will check that the server certificate is signed by a certificate authority that is linked to one of its inbuilt root certificates authorities. Okay. For some reason, if the browser checks fails, then it will prompt the user who can decide whether to allow the connection to proceed with the next steps. Since all the requests are routed at a specific port, which is the local host and JMeter listen to, JMeter is required to encrypt and decrypt all the communication. That means JMeter will take all the encrypted requests from the browser, decrypt them first, and log them into to the JMeter tool. After that, JMeter will encrypt them again and send them to the target server. As HTTPS connections use certificates to authenticate the connection between the browser and the server, JMeter will also generate its own certificate and it will be signed by JMeter generated certificate authority. Okay. By default, this certificate won't be trusted by the browser. Okay. However, it can be installed as a trusted certificate. Once this is done, then the generated JMeter certificates will be accepted by the browser. Now let's go through the actual recording process using each of these three different methods. Now let's look at how to record the script using the default JMeter utility, that is HTTPS test script recorder. Okay. First thing first, let's open the JMeter. So you can do that by going into Apache JMeter bin folder and then jmeter.bat. If you are using Windows, if you are using Linux or Macs, you can use jmeter.sh. Okay. Now let's add a thread group element to test plan and also a non-test element, that is HTTPS test script recorder. Okay. Now let's look at the configurations of HTTPS test script recorder. Like other elements, we have name and comments to define the name and leave some comments to the element. We generally leave them with the default values. Okay. If you want to change, feel free to change the name. And in the state section, we have start button to start the actual JMeter script recording. And then we have stop and restart button. By default, these are disabled because we haven't started the JMeter script recording. Once you start the script recording, then these two buttons will be enabled. After that, we have global settings. In global settings, we have port. This is the port where proxy server is listening to. So please make sure this port number is matching with the proxy server port number. Okay. We will look at how to configure the proxy after understanding the different configuration options of this element. Okay. We will also go through the proxy server setup after understanding the different configurations options of this element. Next, we have HTTPS domain. If you want to pre-generate certificates for all the servers that we would like to record, then you need to specify those domain or host names here. Okay. And then we have test plan creation and request filtering tabs. So in the test plan creation tab, we will define the configuration related to the test plan content, HTTP sampler settings, and GraphQL HTTP sampler settings. Okay. So in the test plan content, we have target controller. By default, it will show as use recording controller. That means in the test plan, we should have a recording controller and all the requests that we are capturing will be recorded under this recording controller. Okay. So if you are leaving with the default option, then please make sure that at least one recording controller is added to thread group element. And you also have different other options available here. You can define transaction controllers and then you can refer those transaction controllers during the recording. So we will look at those while recording the script. Okay. For now, just understand that the location that we want to have all our requests should be specified in the target controller, whether it is recording controller or transaction controller. Okay. Next one, grouping. So this setting will tell how the request to be recorded. By default, do not group sampler option will be selected, and if you want, you can select the other options also. Like if you want to add a separator between groups, you can select the add separator between groups, or if you want to put each group in a new controller, you can also select that option, or if you want to put each group in a new transaction controller, you can select it. But by default, do not group samplers will be selected. Okay. And then we have capture HTTP headers. If you want to capture the HTTP headers of request, then you should check this option so that JMeter will add HTTP header element to all the sampler requests. And then you have an add assertions option. When you select this option, a blank assertion will be added to each sampler. And then you can also select the regular expression matching. So if we select this option, then the replacement will be used the word boundaries. Next, we have HTTP sampler settings. So here we have transaction name, counter start value, and create new transaction after request. So all these options will be used to define a new transaction. So while recording, we can define new transaction. So we will see how we can do that during the recording process. Okay. For now, just understand that these are all the options that will be used to define the transactions. And then if you have any default encoding, then you can also define it here so that JMeter will consider that during the recording. And we have some other HTTP sampler settings. If you want to retrieve all the embedded resources, then you can select this option. By default, it will be unchecked. And if you want to have a redirects automatically, so you can select this option and follow redirects and use keep live. These are all the same settings that we have seen in the HTTP sampler. And then if you have any GraphQL request, then JMeter will record it because by default this detect GraphQL request is enabled. If you don't want to detect those requests, then you can uncheck this option. And in the request filtering tab, we have content type filter include and exclude. So we can specify the type of content that we want to include or exclude in these filters. Similarly, we have URL patterns to include and exclude. So you can specify the pattern so that JMeter will only either include or exclude those patterns. Okay. So these are all different configuration options for this HTTPS test script recorder element. Next, we will understand the certificate setup process. Okay. So in order to set up the certificates, we need to have the JMeter root certificate, right? Those can be obtained when we start the actual recording. So before we start recording, we need to make sure that at least one recording controller is available in thread group, because in the target controller setting, we selected use recording controller. So let's create a recording controller in thread group. Here we are not actually recording anything, we just wanted to have a copy of that certificate. Since this target controller setting is defined as use recording controller, that is why we created an empty recording controller. Okay, and then next let's click the start button to generate the root certificate. So this message will be shown every time when you click the start button. Okay, so this will generate a temporary root certificate under JMeter bin directory. So you can stop the recording because we are not actually recording anything, and then go to JMeter bin folder, and here we will be seeing couple of new files which are related to Apache JMeter root certificate. So by default the certificate validity is only 7 days. Let's import this certificate to browser as a trusted certificate, so that whenever we are sending a request via JMeter, then JMeter will be able to understand those encrypted requests and then send it to the target server. Okay, so let's open the Chrome browser, go to settings, and in the set settings type certificates. And from the results, go to security and scroll a little bit down. Here select the manage certificates. So we have certificates in different tabs, so we want to import our certificate into trusted root certification, so that whenever we are navigating any HTTPS application via JMeter, then browser will allow those communications. So click on the import and then click next here, and for the file name click browse button and then select the Apache JMeter root certificate. So this is the root certificate that we want to import to trusted certificates, and then click next. So it is asking where we want to store this certificate. If you are not saying trusted root certificates authorities, then click browse and then select the trusted root certification authorities and then click OK, then click next and then finish. So once you're done, then you will be getting this security warning. Do you want to install the certificate? Select yes, and then we will get this message that the import was successful. Okay, so if you go to trusted root certificate authorities, then we will be seeing the JMeter root certificate. So if you double click that, it will show the details of that certificate. If you see the validity, so here it is telling valid from 14 January 2024 to 21st January 2024. So that means the certificate is only valid for 7 days, because this is the default JMeter setting. So if you are going with the default settings, then you need to import this certificate after every 7 days. To avoid this, we have a workaround. So let's remove the certificate. We will try to reinstall it again. So select that certificate and then click remove. Say yes. Yes. Now that JMeter certificate is removed from the trusted root certification authorities. Okay. Then click close and go back to JMeter bin folder and delete those 2 certificate files. And also there is one more file called proxyserver.jks. You need to delete this file also. Otherwise, whenever you click the start button, it will not generate any new certificates. Okay. So remove this file. Now go to jmeter.properties in the same bin folder. Open with any text editor. So I'm using Visual Studio Code, and here look for proxy.cert.validity. So the default validity of certificate created by JMeter is 7 days. That is why we are only seeing 7 days validity. So uncomment this. You can do that by deleting this, or you can press Ctrl / and then update it as 365 days. So now we are making default value as 365 days. So once we generate the certificate, we can use it for 1 year. Okay, and then save this. You need to restart the JMeter to take those changes into effect. We don't need to save this, and then again it will open the JMeter. So now again add the same elements, thread group, and then one recording controller, and also add non-test element HTTPS test script recorder. Okay. Now click the start button to generate the new certificate. Now if you see here, the validity of certificate is changed to 365 days. Okay, so click OK and then you can stop the recording. Now if you go back to bin folder, again we will be seeing 2 files related to JMeter root certificate. Then go to browser settings again and then manage certificates. Now import that certificate. Click next, click the browse and then select the Apache JMeter temporary root and then click next. So we want to store the certificate into trusted store, right? You need to click browse and then select the trusted root certification authorities and then next and click finish. So this will install the certificate, and then once the installation is done, we will be seeing this message saying that the import was successful. Okay. Now go back to trusted root certificates and then double click the JMeter root certificate. Now we can see the validity as 1 year. So this will help you to avoid those import process again and again. Okay. And then click OK, close. Now in the same browser settings, look for proxy and then click the open your computer proxy settings. So here we are trying to set up the proxy. So in the manual proxy setup, click the setup and then in the edit proxy server option and select the user proxy server option. So that will enable these two fields like proxy server IP address and port. You can leave the default values because in JMeter also we are going to use the same port. So you can click save. Now we understand all the configuration options. We have completed the certificate import process and also we did the proxy setup. Now it's time to record the application. For this demo purpose, I will be using Blaze demo application. So let's create some transactions related to the Blaze demo applications. So right click on the thread group element, add logic controller and then transaction controllers. Define the name as home page and then add another transaction controller. Let's say this is find flights and then add another controller, name it as choose flight. So these are the transaction name that I want to see. You can define anything. And finally we will add the purchase transaction. So these are all 4 transactions that I am going to perform using that Blaze demo application. Now you can remove this element. We don't need this anymore. Click yes. And in the HTTPS test script recorder, you can add a view results tree listener. This will be helpful for us to understand what are all the values that we can see in the server response during the recording time. And now select the HTTPS test script recorder and then in the test plan content section under target controller, select the respective controller where we want to record the transaction. So select the 01 homepage transaction as a target controller. So that means when we start the recording, the events will be recorded in homepage transaction controller. Okay. And also go to the request filtering and then in the URLs pattern to include type blaze demo.star. So that means I want all the requests related to the Blaze demo. I don't want any other requests to be recorded. Okay. Once all the configurations are done, before start hitting the record button, let's open the browser in a incognito mode. So the reason for opening it in incognito mode is that in this mode, browser will not record any history or cookies or any site data that we have recently visited. That is why it is always recommended to record the JMeter script in incognito mode and then go back to JMeter and then hit the start button. Again, we will be seeing this root certificate. Just click OK. And here we are seeing the recorded transaction controller, right? So if you want to have a separate transaction for the activity, then you can also define the name, prefix, and the counter value. Since we already created transaction controllers, we don't want to define anything here. Let's go back to the browser and then open the application, which is blazedemo.com. So the application is opened here and then again go back to JMeter. And if you carefully notice in homepage transaction controller, we can see different elements have been recorded. Okay. And then, so before we do the next step, go to that HTTPS test script recorder and change the target controller to find flights. Okay. And then go to browser again and then select the departure city and destination city and then click find flights. And if you go back to JMeter again, now this time we will be seeing all the activities in find flights transaction. Okay. So we need to do the process again to make sure that all the requests are captured in respective transaction. So go back to HTTPS test script recorder and then select the next transaction, which is choose flight, and then go back to browser, click on the choose this flight. And again, we will be seeing all the activities under choose flight transaction. Okay. And finally, change the target controller to purchase and then go to application and fill some name like test and then click purchase flight. So go back to JMeter, make sure that we have request capture and purchase transaction. Okay. And then you can stop the recording. So this way we have organized all our requests into proper transactions, right? Otherwise, all the things will be recorded in one transaction controller. Then it will be little difficult to understand which HTTP sampler requests are belongs to which transaction. So you can define the transaction names and then record those requests under those transactions. And if you see the view registry, we can see the different requests also, right? For example, the reserve is for the find flights transaction. So this is the server response during the recording. So this will be useful when we are doing the correlation of some dynamic values. We will go through that correlation process in the upcoming videos. Okay. Now you can disable these two elements since we don't need now, and then create create one listener and a thread group. So we can quickly run the script to make sure that everything is working as expected. So let's run the script. So it is asking us to save the test plan. Let's click yes and then save it in desktop. Now we can see all the requests, right? If you don't want to see the HTTP samplers as a independent request, we can go to each transaction and then select generate parent sample. So that way these will be grouped properly. Let's run the test again. Now we can see all the homepage requests are under homepage transaction, all the requests related to find flights under find flights transaction, and then all the requests related to choose flight under choose flight transaction. Okay, so this is the way we can record application user traffic using JMeter HTTPS test script recorder utility. So once you are done with the recording, you need to make sure that you go to your system settings and go to the proxy server setup and turn off the proxy server. Otherwise you cannot open any of the application in the browser. So make sure that you turn off this proxy server setup after you're done with the recording. I hope the recording process that I explained is clear to you. In case anything is not clear or require more details, please mention it in the comment section. Okay, now let's look at how to create JMeter script using Badboy software. Just to let you know that this software has been deprecated and no longer actively supported or recommended for use. Despite the deprecated status, this tool may be still functional for certain tasks. I just wanted to share this utility which may help in some situations for JMeter script recording purposes. Okay, so let's go to Chrome browser and type Badboy software download. From the results, go to Informer Technologies website. As it is deprecated, we don't have any official website where we can download this software. However, some websites are providing a copy of the exe for download. Okay, so from the results, go to Informer Technologies website and then go to download section. You might be seeing so many download links. Don't click those because these are all just advertisement links. Scroll a little bit down and where you can see a download now button. So click that button to download the Badboy software. It may take a minute to download the software to your downloads folder. Once it is done, go to downloads folder, double click the exe file that is downloaded from the website. So the installation process is very easy. So what we need to do is we just need to follow the instructions provided in this wizard. So first they're asking to accept their license agreement. So you can click on the I agree button. Next they're asking us to specify the destination folder for Badboy software. We can leave it the default one. So click on the install. So it is asking you a confirmation whether we want a Badboy item to be there in our start menu. Click yes and the installation is completed. You can close this wizard and then go to the search, type Badboy, which will show you the Badboy app. Just click on that Badboy link, which will open this software. So this is the Badboy user interface. It looks very simple. And again, we are not going to deep dive of all the options that are available in Badboy because our intention is to understand the process of creating a JMeter script using this Badboy software. Okay, so we'll focus on the script regarding part only. So we will understand how to capture the user actions using this software and how to convert them to JMX files so that we can open them in JMeter. Like any other software, it has also a menu bar and toolbar and there is an address bar. So one good thing is it has a built-in browser. So you don't need to open a browser to do all the user actions. You can do it directly in this software. And on the left hand side tree pane, we have a script tree menu where Badboy will show all the user actions that is recording during the recording session. Okay, before starting the recording, just make sure that this recording button is turned on. Okay, and the second thing is go to the preference menu, click the preference, or you can use Ctrl+Shift+P to open this as a shortcut, and then go to playing. Select all these three checkboxes because we are going to use the HTTPS website and we may be seeing some dialog boxes if you are not selecting these options. So before you start recording, please make sure that you have selected these three options and then click OK. So after that, whatever the website that you want to record, you can type the address of that website in this address bar. So we are going to record the Blaze demo website, which is a travel website. In this website, we can try to book a flight ticket. Okay, so the address of that website is https://blazedemo.com. So once you type that address, it will show you the homepage of that website. And at the same time, if you have noticed on the left hand side, you can see there's a request has been captured. So next, choose the departure city. Select Portland or any other city and then select the destination city as well. After that, click find flights. So from the available list, you can choose any one of the flight. Again, on the left hand side, it is capturing all the requests. And in the purchase page, try to fill the details. You can put some name and then leave the rest of the fields and then click purchase flight, which will purchase the tickets. After that, you will get the confirmation of your purchase. These are all the different steps that we have followed to purchase a ticket in Blaze demo website. Okay, so once you are done with all the steps, you can stop recording. So we basically perform 4 actions. So those 4 actions are recorded by Badboy software. So as the next step, what we need to do is we need to convert these requests into JMX. To do so, you need to go to the file menu and then export to JMeter. So it will ask you where exactly this script has to be stored. So whichever location you want to store this script, you can give that location. For now, as a demo purpose, I'm just saving it on my desktop. So Badboy test script, and after that click save. So it will save the script. So you can minimize this and open your JMeter. And then go to file open or click this open button in the toolbar, which will open a dialog box where we need to select the JMeter script. So since our Badboy script was stored in desktop, I'm going to desktop and then selecting that script. Click open. So it will open that script in JMeter. If you have noticed, it is automatically created a thread group for us. And then inside that thread group, we have 3 config elements and then 4 HTTP sampler requests. So these are the 4 actions that we have performed in the Blaze demo website. First, we launch the home page. So it is already filled all the required information, right? Like the protocol, server name, port. And in the second action, we have selected the from and destination city. So we have those inputs as a parameters in this HTTP sampler request. You can see from port is Portland, to port is New York. Similarly, purchase also we filled some information. So the tool has captured that information as a parameters here. And finally, we have a confirmation page. To test the script, add a listener to thread group and then run the script. So all 4 actions has been successfully executed and we have 200 response. So this is the way we can make use of Badboy software to record the user actions and then convert them into a JMeter script. Okay, now let's look at how to create JMeter script using BlazeMeter Chrome Extension. Basically, BlazeMeter is a commercial platform with which we can do performance testing, service virtualization, API testing, and functional testing. The good part of BlazeMeter is that it supports cloud-based load generations. Using JMeter, we can develop the scripts and load test the application. However, testing the application with geographical user base, it will be a tedious and requires a lot of efforts to identify the load generators and make necessary configuration to generate the load. So we can address all those challenges using BlazeMeter and simulate the load accordingly. So BlazeMeter also supports a Chrome extension which can be used to record the browser activities and convert them to a JMeter script. So this avoids setting up any proxy configuration and capturing the user traffic or routing the traffic to proxy. Okay, so let's get into the demo of setting BlazeMeter Chrome extension. So go to your Chrome browser and then go to Chrome web store where we will have different extensions. In the search extension and themes, type BlazeMeter. Select the BlazeMeter, the continuous testing extension. So here we can see the overview of the BlazeMeter Chrome extension. So basically they are saying using this Chrome extension, we can record Selenium and HTTP traffic to create a load and functional test in less than 10 minutes. They also mentioned that it supports the Apache JMeter. So if you go further down in the support section, there will be a link to their support site. Open that into a new tab. So here you can see 3 different links. Go to the second link where we can find the documentation of recording process. So you can go through this to understand more about how to record the user traffic using BlazeMeter Chrome extension. Don't worry, I will be sharing all these links in the description. Okay, so let's close this and go to the top and add this extension to Chrome. So we need to click add to Chrome. Okay, again select add extension. So then the extension will be added to the browser. So if you click this little icon which shows the list of extensions that are added to Chrome, we can see the BlazeMeter. If you want BlazeMeter to be on the top always, you can click the pin icon, so which will show the BlazeMeter icon on the top. Otherwise, you always need to go to extension and then select the BlazeMeter. Okay, so let's go to the BlazeMeter extension to understand the different options. So in order for us to convert the captured user actions into a JMeter scripts, we need to log into BlazeMeter account. If you are not logged into BlazeMeter account, then you will be seeing like login or sign up. So if you are seeing the same thing working, then what you need to do is you have to go to BlazeMeter website, blazemeter.com, and then click the login. If you don't have any account, then you can register, or you can even use your Google account to sign in. So let me use my Google account to sign in, so I don't need to create another account in BlazeMeter. So once you signed in, then it will show you this default workspace. So we are not going to do anything in this screen because this screen is meant for doing performance tests using BlazeMeter. Okay, so our objective in this demo is just to use their extension to record the user traffic and convert that into a JMeter script. Okay, so let's close this workspace and then again open the BlazeMeter Chrome extension. So this time, instead of login or sign up, it is showing my name. So that means I have successfully logged into their BlazeMeter account. Okay, so here in the first text box we can see a message, enter the name of the test. So here we need to input the script name. So whatever the script name that you want to have, then you have to input it, otherwise it will use some default name. Using this demo, I want to record the JPET store demo application user traffic. So I will give the name of my script as JPET store underscore demo. Okay, and then we have three buttons here. One for stop recording. Since we haven't started anything, this button is disabled. This is the default behavior. And then we have start recording button. Once you are ready to record the user traffic, then you need to click this button. And we have reset all options button. So this option can be used to reset everything, like whatever the recording setting that you have used, that will reset to default settings. Okay, and then we have some advanced options. The first one is the user agent. So in the user agent, by default it will show as a current browser. You can select the user agent that your users are going to use. So that BlazeMeter extension will try to add a user agent header in the script. Okay, and then in the filter pattern section, by default it will not filter anything. It will allow all the traffic that we are going to record. Okay, if you want to filter traffic from specific application, you can define those patterns in the filter pattern. So the next option, disable browser cache. When you select this option, it will disable the browser cache during the recording. If you are not selecting this and if you already visited your application, then some of the resources might be cached, right? So those resources will not be recorded. So that is why it is always important to select this option while you are recording user activity using Chrome extension. Okay, next option, wipe services workers. So basically this will remove the service workers from the pages. And if your application has some AJAX requests, you can also record by selecting this option. Okay, and we have update settings before running tests. When you enable this option, it will give you a control to change the settings before running. That means you can control how the ramp up time should be and what would be the test duration and how the load distribution should be. So you can control all those settings before running the actual test. Okay, and then we have randomized recording think time. So when you select this option, it will add a uniform random timer element and simulate the expected delay time. Okay, the next option is request to record. So this option will give you control whether you want to record the top level request, the main pages, or you want to record all the resources including the page as well. So if you want to record only the top level request, then you can select this option. Okay, and if you want to select the top level request along with some cookies, CSS, JavaScript, then you have to select this option and choose the right resource that you want to record. Okay, so for this demo purpose, let's go with only top requests. And we also have the number of downloads, same like in JMeter. By default it supports 6 parallel downloads. That is why it is showing within the bracket 6. Okay, and then we have some additional options. These options generally we will select when we are doing the GUI functional testing. Okay, and then we have save in project and default project. These options will be used when we are actually doing performance testing using BlazeMeter. And finally we have the version of this BlazeMeter. So right now the latest version of this BlazeMeter is 6.1.0. So let's open the BlazeMeter Chrome extension and then click the start recording button, which will start the recording. After that we need to specify the application that we want to record. So I want to record the JPET store demo application. That's why I will specify that URL. If you want to record something else, you can specify that application URL. Okay, and then press enter. That will load the application as well as the BlazeMeter Chrome extension window. Here we have an option to stop the recording or the pause the recording, and we also have some information about the test cases. By default all the user requests will be recorded in test. If you want to have a separate steps, then you can also define them here. So let's do some transactions in this application. So once you are done with the steps, you can click the stop recording. So that will stop the recording of this application, and then again you have to go back to BlazeMeter Chrome extension, and we have some new options like run, edit, save. If you want to run the script in BlazeMeter, then you can use this option. If you want to modify something in the script, you can go to edit and then do all the necessary modifications. Or if you want to save this script, then you can click the save. When you click the save, it will give you some options like whether you want to save this as a JMeter script or Selenium script or JMeter and Selenium combined. Since we want to select as JMeter, so I'm selecting the JMeters and then clicking the save button. So that will export all the user requests into JMX format so that we can open those requests in JMeter. Okay, so by default those will be downloaded into downloads folder. So open the JMeter by going into Apache JMeter and bin directory, and then open the script. So that script is there in the downloads folder, JPEG store demo, open. If you see here, the script name whatever we have given in the BlazeMeter Chrome extension is applied to test plan as well. So here the test plan name is JPEG store demo, and they have given some comments. And then after that we have some config elements. So these are all created by BlazeMeter Chrome extension. So we have some HTTP header manager, user defined variables where they define the application URL as a base URL parameter, and then request defaults, DNS cache manager, authorization manager, cookie manager, cache manager. And then we also have one thread group, and then we also have one transaction controller with the name test. So this was the default test case that BlazeMeter Chrome extension created. Okay, if you have added multiple transactions, then those will be showed as the different transactions here. And if you expand here, it will show all the different actions that we performed. So we opened the application, and then we opened the fish page. So whatever the query parameters, those are all automatically added as parameters in this HTTP sampler request. Okay, and then we also have the product ID information and then cart information. So these are all the different steps. So here we haven't done anything, right? It's BlazeMeter recorded all these elements for us. So if you open any of the HTTP sampler, we also have uniform random timer because we have selected the option in the BlazeMeter Chrome extension. Let's add a listener and then run the script. So all the 4 requests were successful with the 200 code. So this is the way you can record user traffic and convert them into JMeter script using BlazeMeter Chrome extension. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for staying till the end and supporting me. I hope you understand the concept of recording the JMeter script using different methods explained in this video. In case anything is not clear or requires more detailed information, please feel free to mention it in the comment section. All the video notes have been uploaded in GitHub, and you can find the link in the description. If you are new to our channel, please consider subscribing and also like and share this video so that others will also get benefited. I'll see you with the next video in this module. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep learning.